Scream and shout with all your might.
Scream, shout, whine, cry, snivel, piss, and even moan.
Dig in your heels and hold on tight.
Shove your opinion up your ass, glue your butt cheeks together. Doesn't matter.
Either you are wrong or I am right.
Don't forget the ever-present and most likely third possibility. You are wrong, and I am right. Oh yeah. I live for moments like this when my adoring fans scream out my name. Now if I just get more of my female fans to remove their underclothing. Welcome to another edition of Stating the Obvious, brought to you by the Cynical Libertarian Society. I am, of course, Skippy. I am, of course, always right. I am, of course, never wrong. But you should be used to that by now. In the control room is the lovely and adorable Randy. Today is the 4th of December. Time is it, Randy? Where's the clock? It's buried. Imagine that. Chaos in the recording studios of the Cynical Libertarian Society. Who would have ever thought? 3:37. Excellent. Yeah, now I get an email from the library that my CD isn't. Great. Representative Al Edwards, Democrat, Houston, has filed a bill prohibiting sexually suggestive movements by the cheerleaders at sporting events and other extracurricular activities. There goes another fucking Democrat trying to ruin things. I am so glad I'm not in high school anymore. How's our sound going in there? Excellent. Alright, folks. I've got the coffee. It's cold outside today, which is why we're in here doing this. If it was nice, we'd be outside doing something else, right, Randy? Yes. The website address for Cynical Libertarian Society, 204eastsouth.com/CLS, and the email, if you want to contact the Cynical Libertarian Society stating the obvious, we have a new email address. The old email address is still in effect, sto@204eastsouth.com. However, I was inspired. We have a new email address. It is god@204eastsouth.com. It occurred to me, I am a god. My email address should reflect appropriately, right? Right, that's what I thought. Oh. Do a sound check. Yep, that's what I thought. I told you the waveform looked a little shitty. Yeah, that looks better. Thank you, darling. What is this? We're going to bust through this stack right here. I have a stack of things from the Rocky Mountain Collegian, which is the newspaper at CSU. Typically, I don't waste too much time with the CSU newspaper because this stuff is all written by stupid little 19-year-old children who think they know. Sorry, reading. Written by little 19-year-old children who think they know way more than they do. It's incredible how intelligent, these kids are. They're 19 and they have the solution for peace in the Middle East. People over there have been killing each other for longer than I've been alive, and yet these 19-year-old kids know how to solve the problems. Always impresses me. Strength Through Peace organizes vigil in honor of fallen soldiers. I always love these people who think you can have strength through peace. Fort Collins resident Richard Payne was among the dozens of protesters who gripped candles and signs at a Wednesday night vigil for 2,000 plus U.S. soldiers killed in Iraq. You know what I love about the media? Is the way they have this problem with understanding numbers. Now listen to this. There are dozens of protesters. This article goes on. We're not reading a lot here. But the point is, these dozens of protesters, they're turning the tide. They're making these statements. It says down here near the end, I don't know, Gerber muses, maybe it's finally paying off, referring to their protesting and everything else. Dozens of protesters. And the media acts like this is news. The media acts like these dozens of people mean something. Why, there are dozens of people out there protesting against George Bush's war. Yet, I could easily bring you dozens of people who are opposed to the Fort Collins smoking ban. And this very same media would say, wow, that's a minority handful of people. Why, they don't matter. Why is it that when dozens of people oppose the smoking ban, they are a minority handful? When dozens of people oppose the war in Iraq, they're making a difference. They're doing something for peace. Oh, they're so wonderful. We have to scan this in. Alleged racial image prompts uproar. Let me put this in the pile because this has to be, or maybe I can, I think maybe we can find that online and save me the trouble having to scan. Coffee. I was about to say it should be a beer, then I realized we have beer in the fridge. No, I don't. No, don't want. Here in Colorado, we had a state referendums C and D up for vote. It doesn't matter what they are. Here's the important part. Somebody put out a flyer. The flyer says, does CSU's future hang on referendum C and D? And there's a graphic that went along on this flyer. Now, to hear the media and President Penley of CSU tell it, it was described as a black man hanging from a tree, and it had chilling racial overtones. Isn't that what he said? Chilling. He said something else. Yeah, I don't have it with me, and I'm not going to look for it. The word chilling was used because liberal Democrats always use chilling whenever they don't get their way. You can always tell Yes. Yeah, I know. You can always tell when a liberal doesn't get their way, because anytime a liberal doesn't get what they want, it's chilling. When the rest of us don't get what we want, it's tough shit. So this image is a black man hanging from a tree, which would lead you to believe that there is an image of a black person hanging on a noose from a tree. Now, what the image actually is, and this is why I have to put the picture up, is a black image on a white piece of paper of a tree, and hanging from that tree is a thing which is obviously a human form, that is to say, a stick figure. It's black in the sense that it's black ink on a white piece of paper. It is not a black man. It is a stick figure. It has no gender. It most certainly has no ethnicity. However, Penley and his cronies and the newspaper, made a huge deal out of this about, how racism is running wild. Local rape reports highest in state. Rape, of course, is always, and probably always will be, a big deal on college campuses because, as we know, 10 out of 10 college women are raped every 20 minutes, usually by their boyfriends, friends, their parents, and their teachers. Because every woman in America has been raped 10,000 times if you read the statistics. I'm going to read some of this. Of the more than 230 American cities with 100,000 or more residents, Fort Collins had the 5th highest rate of reported rapes in 2004. The FBI's data is comprised of rapes reported. Let me start that over. The FBI's data is comprised of rapes reported to law enforcement agencies only and does not take into account convictions, acquittals, or rapes that have gone unreported. Isn't that incredible, folks? This may be a news shocker for some of you. The FBI's rape statistics only include the rapes that have been reported. They don't include the rapes that have not been reported. Maybe the FBI psychics aren't working. If the rape is not reported, don't all statistics only include data on information? Here's a question. I just thought of this. I am so fucking brilliant. This is what it's like to be me, Randy. I'll give you my autograph later. For those of you out there listening, go ahead and get down on your knees and kiss my ass right now. Don't all statistics... shouldn't all statistics be made up only of reported data? And here's a question. Which statistics out there are actually made up of data that has not been reported? How do you create a statistic by using data that has not been reported? Would that not be the same thing as making it up? Which is, of course, what many of these statistics are. That is to say, made up, fabricated, like 1 out of every 5 women is raped before the time she's 3 months old, or whatever it is this week. So they're the FBI, oh wow, gee, our statistics are actually made of only reported data. We didn't make anything up for this one. The city's police officials were also quick to point out that these statistics could be misleading. Colorado statutes don't mention rape, but rather the more encompassing, there's a word, the more encompassing sexual assault, which does not necessarily mean penetration. So not only are these statistics composed of situations which rape never actually occurred, they're also composed of actual, real, honest-to-God situations that were reported, not the fictitious, non-reported occurrences as the other FBI statistics are composed of. This is funny. It's talking about here the cities that had more is the wrong word, had higher reported rate of rape. I think it's interesting which one is on the top. Flint, Michigan, home of the fat white man Michael Moore. Davis, I don't know who Davis is, it doesn't matter. I'll go back and find it if it does matter. Davis said, stranger rapes are rare, and the city has... We're talking about Fort Collins here. Davis said stranger rapes are rare, and the city has only had 2 or 3 so far this year. Most sexual assault is either incest or date rape, she said. Students at CSU were alarmed to hear of the high rate of rape reported in Fort Collins, but attributed the statistics to the culture of an alcohol-charged college town. Ah, yes. It's not my fault I raped a woman. The booze made me do it. Our colleges are teaching our children to be good Democrats. Don't be responsible. It's not my fault I walked into a frat house full of drunk boys wearing a miniskirt and got fucked by 3 of them. The alcohol made me do it. Nearly a quarter of Fort Collins' population attends CSU. Sarah Hawkins-Smith, a senior computer science major, said more city money should be put into awareness programs. Quote, you don't hear about it at all, she said, of the prevalence of reported rape in Fort Collins. Quote, the media doesn't cover it enough. Barron called alcohol, quote, the #1 rape-facilitating drug, but emphasized that alcohol is never the cause of sexual assault. So here we go. The government should spend more of my tax money teaching people not to rape each other. Okay? Because 12 years of public education and an additional number of years of college was not sufficient for the average 21-year-old, because we know nobody under 21 drinks alcohol because it's illegal. By the time you're 21, you've had, 3 years of college? 12 years of public education. 3 years of college. And we need to spend more of my tax money to teach these 21-year-old people don't get drunk and rape each other. Boy, now there is an education system that's working. Alcohol is the #1 rape facilitating drug, but it's never the cause of sexual assault. What is the difference between facilitating something and causing something? Now, No. Technically, if we look the words up in a dictionary, we can find a difference. But are we really going to sit here and say, well, this rape was facilitated by alcohol, but alcohol had nothing to do with it? And if alcohol has nothing to do with it, how can we right over here attribute these statistics to a culture of an alcohol-charged college town? See, over here, one column in front of this, the high rape statistics are caused by an alcohol-charged college town, but we read 4 paragraphs over and suddenly we discover that alcohol is never the cause of sexual assault. Not only do college students need my tax money to teach them not to get drunk and rape each other, they also lack anything resembling critical thinking skills, because whoever wrote this article should have been smart enough to figure these things out, and I shouldn't have to stand here and point them out to you, but apparently I do. But this is good, though, because actually I'm putting this aside when I do my speech on statistics, Randy. This is beautiful. You know, that they're that the data is comprised of only reported rapes and not the unreported ones. I mean, that's just, God, that is beautiful. What do I have here? Let's talk about porn. Everybody likes to talk about porn. This is a letter to the editor. Oh, yeah, this is great. Somehow or another, every year we at some point get on the subject of pornography on the computers in the CSU library. You guys, listen to this story, and we're going to talk about this. Domingo, and I don't know how to pronounce this last name, Aguado. Aguado? I'm assuming this is a Spanish type name, since his first name is Domingo. Anyhow, Domingo writes, a situation that sticks out in my mind that exemplifies this took place last summer when a group of about 15 students and I went to the library at 11 a.m. on a Thursday to work on a take-home exam. We were sitting at a table on the second floor right next to the stairs. From there you could see everything people were looking at in the computer area, and there were 2 middle-aged men sitting at computers looking at porn videos and making a huge scene of it. They kept poking each other, looking at each other's screens, and laughing about it. One of our group members pointed this out to a library employee, who told him she could not do anything about it because there was no rule prohibiting these 2 men from this type of behavior. The men continued doing this for about 2 more hours, and by the time they left, our time to work on the exam had ended due to prior obligations, so we could not finish as we had intended. Some of our group members were females, and they were quite appalled and offended by the concept of creepy, middle-aged men looking at porn at the library. Now let's analyze all the ways in which this is wrong. I hope you folks have a couple of hours. Okay, now I'm scanning quickly. Alright. They are looking. Now, from there, you could see everything people were looking at in the computer area. Question number 1. If you're supposed to be there doing your homework, why are you looking at other people's computer screens? I'm serious. You go to the library, you're going to be doing your homework. Why are you looking at what somebody else is doing? Why are you invading another person's privacy? Now, this person states they are poking each other, looking at each other's screens, and laughing. They went to the library employee. The library employee said she can't do anything about it. Now, maybe she can't do anything about them looking at pornography, and I obviously agree with that premise. But if they're making a disturbance, that is to say, making loud noise, in an area which is, and of course this is a college library, so certain areas are noise-making areas, for example group activities like what he's talking about, and other areas are non-noise-making areas for individual study, reading, whatever. Now, if this is a noise-making area, then yeah, you have to deal with it. If it's not a noise-making area, then they can be told to shut up. You can't necessarily say stop looking at porn videos, but you can tell them to shut the fuck up. The 2 men continued doing this for 2 more hours, and by the time our work time had ended, blah, blah, blah. Here's a concept. Why didn't you move somewhere else? The CSU library, for those of you not familiar with it, had, how many floors? God, I don't even know. Randy, is it 3 floors or 4 floors? It's 4, isn't it? And a basement. I mean, the thing is, well, it's not huge. I've certainly seen bigger libraries. But it's pretty damned big. The idea that the only place in the library where they could study is right here next to the computers where they could watch what other people are doing on the computers is silly. All you had to do is fucking move. And finally, of course, some of your members were females and they were appalled and offended. So you're saying that the female members of your group were somehow or another affected differently from this than the male members of your group. Now, isn't that sexism? Isn't that when you treat somebody differently or assume something different about them because of their gender? Isn't that sexual discrimination? Where's political correctness when you need it? Folks, if you're... What? What's all... Oh, never mind. Folks, if you're in the library and somebody's looking at porn and it bothers you, number 1, stop looking at their computer screen. Number 2, get the fuck up and move. 12 years of public education. This person was a graduate. That means they had, at the time this happened, they had at least 3 years of college. And oh, somebody's looking at porn. It bothers me. I noticed you kept looking at them looking at the porn. The call for castration as punishment. This is by Tyler Whitman. Tyler Whitman is a fuck-headed moron. He's a senior speech communications major. That should explain a lot right there. Yeah, thank you. Last week, I was walking out of the rec center and I noticed a poster right next to the door. It read, 74% of college men would intervene to prevent a sexual assault. I stared at the poster for a moment just to make sure I was seeing this correct. 74%. Although they actually spelled 4 in the 74 F-O-U-F, thus showing that the Collegian, in addition to not having logic skills, also lacks proofreading skills. But it's okay, these students are the future of America. That's why we're fucked. This had to be wrong, I thought to myself. There's no way 26% of college men would stand by while a sexual assault took place. Then it hit me. This poster is way off base. It made sense to me that 100% of college men would intervene to prevent a sexual assault. That's the truth. Don't listen to any poster. Quite simply, anyone that wouldn't step in to prevent a sexual assault is not a man. First of all, how do you know it's a sexual assault? Remember, we're operating here on the college definition, the politically correct definition, the liberal intelligentsia Democrat elite definition of sexual assault. That means anytime a woman has sex and doesn't want to have sex, even if she only figures out 2 weeks later she didn't want to have sex, that is sexual assault. I continue reading. Disturbed by the fact that 26% of the males at the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, RAIN, polled said they would not prevent a sexual assault, I proceeded to look up a few facts at their website. According to various sources on RAIN.org, I need to mark this. I should check out this website and see how stupid these people are. Excuse me. Alright, here we go. According to sources on RAIN.org, only 39% of all rapes are actually reported. Alright. Here's a question. Only 39% of all rapes are reported. To say you know what percentage of rapes are reported is to say that you know how many rapes occur. Now, if only 39% of rapes are reported, how can you know the total number of rapes which have occurred so that you can then extrapolate the statistic that only 39% of rapes are reported? This is a bullshit statistic. This statistic cannot possibly be verified in any way, manner, shape, or form. And for those of you out there who are stupid, and you know most of you are, I'm not saying going out and raping women is a good thing. I'm saying this is a bullshit statistic. And what saddens me here is that why do the people who are simply trying to say don't rape women, which is a perfectly logical, intelligent, fine thing to say, why do they have this need to lie so much in their attempt to tell people, hey, raping women is a bad thing? Why the need to create obviously bullshit, bogus statistics? Why the need to lie? If what you're doing is so wonderful and caring and compassionate and you're just trying to make the world a better place, why do you have to lie? Half of all rapes, I'm reading again, half of all rapes, that's 50% of all rapes reported, are actually followed by an arrest. Of those arrested, there is an 80% chance of prosecution. Even if there is prosecution, only 58% of those get a felony. If they are indeed convicted of a felony, only 69% of those spend even one day in jail. Now that you're all scratching your heads, this means that only 1 in 16 rapists, 6%, spend any time in jail. I wonder if a bunch of liberal Democrat lawyers that make up excuses like, well, he raped her because his daddy beat him when he was a child, I wonder if those filthy fucking liberal Democrats have anything to do with this. I continue reading. I'm not sure, but I think that the more people who get... no, I can't read. Hold on. I'm not sure, but I think that more people who get busted on possession charges for marijuana spend more time in jail. This society is really backwards if you ask me. Gee, I wonder if those same liberal Democrats also support the drug war. I can see where you're... And then he goes on to talk about castration. We're not even going to read that because I don't care about that part. My point is, I can kind of see where you're coming from, but it's liberal Democrats like you who keep getting these people out of jail on excuses. Well, we have to feel sorry for him. Oh, his mommy was an alcoholic. It's okay. What's this? America's Silent Crime. Is this about... no, this is about... Oh, this is about whining. This is... Hold on, I'm scanning this quickly to see if... I want to read this. This is one of these things about how the poor women are all beat and abused by their husbands. I don't need to read this. Folks, here we go again. Women being beaten and abused by their husbands. They don't leave their husbands. Why do they not leave their husbands? Why do they not take a gun and shoot their husbands? Well, they don't do this because, for one thing, they say, well, they cannot financially support themselves. Gosh, why can they not financially support themselves? It wouldn't have anything to do with a shitty economy, which is caused by overtaxation, overregulation, and other problems such as the government running amok. That couldn't possibly be it. It couldn't have anything to do with women being taught by the government and by the power structure that you should not rely on yourself, that you should rely on the government and the power structure to provide you with things. I mean, we won't even teach women to defend themselves. If a man tries to rape you, or if somebody tries to mug you, here's a better one, because we've already talked about rape. When a man tries to mug you, don't resist. Give them your wallet. Don't fight back. When the police show up, attempt to give them a detailed report of the person. Bullshit. We teach people to be stupid and helpless. When someone shows up and says, give me your money or I'm going to knife you, we teach them to give up their money. So then the same woman, when her husband's beating her, suddenly she's supposed to grow a spine. If we tried teaching people, especially women, to stand up and defend themselves, maybe we wouldn't have this problem. But instead we teach them, rely on the police to protect you. Rely on the government to protect you. Rely on the system to protect you. Rely on the power structure, which is run predominantly by rich men, to protect you. And then we wonder, how can women stand there and let men beat them? Simple, because you people have fucked them up. Tim Waddingham. Who's the idiot who wrote the column? No, that was a different... No, wait, God damn it, Randy. Oh, there it is. I can't find anything in here. No, it was Tyler Whitman. Never mind. I thought it was the same jackass. Tim Waddingham, he wrote an interesting column here. A Christian conservative is really an ignorant Republican. Now, what he's trying to say here is that Christians should be liberals because, you see, Christianity is actually about hating rich people, stealing from rich people, blaming other people for your problems, and being entitled. Because, of course, liberalism is all about entitlement. And, of course, I hate to sound like I am defending conservative right-wing Republicans here, because I'm not. But the idea that somehow or another Christians should be liberal Democrats is equally hilarious. Let me just read some of this to you. Is there such a thing as a Christian conservative who votes for the Democratic Party? No. So why bother with the foolish euphemisms and instead call Christian conservatives what they really are, ignorant Republicans? Well, let's see. Are there any atheists who vote for the Republicans? Probably not. And aside from that, are there any Christian conservatives who vote for the Democrat? How does he know? I mean, I realize he's 19, he's in college, he's had 12 years of public education. How does he know there's nobody out there who calls himself a conservative and a Christian who votes Democrat? How does he know that? Oh, that's right. He's a college boy. He knows everything. I continue reading. Let's make sure we get this straight. I'm not saying that all Republicans are ignorant. I am saying that all Christian conservatives are ignorant Republicans. Well, I'm glad you cleared that up. As I'm sure many of you know, one of the reasons our country is so great is because we've maintained a separation of church and state. I'm trying not to laugh. But isn't the title Christian conservative inherently contradictory in relation to the separation of church and state? It seems to me Christian conservative actually combines church and state. Not good. Ooh, look. He's writing two-word sentences in monosyllables. He is the future of America. Okay, we've talked about this before. There is no separation of church and state. Separation of church and state is not in the Constitution. You cannot find the phrase separation of church and state. First Amendment says the state shall make no laws regarding the establishment of a religion. There is no, and I'm not saying that we should have church and state. Separation of church and state is a great idea. I'm all for it. I'm simply pointing out it's not in the fucking Constitution, and that is not one of the reasons our country is great. Our country is great because it used to have freedom and capitalism, and it wasn't a communist socialist hellhole like the rest of the planet. Our greatness doesn't have a fucking thing to do with separation of church and state. Nice try, Wadding boy. I continue reading. I think we can all agree that the slogan, "Thou shalt not kill," is shared by Christians all over the globe. But conservatives in America don't seem to interpret this Christian... Too many C words. But conservatives in America don't seem to interpret this commandment like Christians do. Was invading Iraq, a country who did not pose any threat to us whatsoever, the Christian thing to do? Well, let's see, the Crusades were perpetrated by Christians. I'm pretty sure they killed some people then. But no, see, the Americans, under the leadership of the evil George Bush, are the only Christians in the history of the world who have ever made war on other people. All other Christians, well, thou shalt not kill. Why, I shall not kill anybody. No, it's only Christians in America who vote Republican that kill. What about I continue reading. What about the welfare system in America? I know that the Bible preaches about helping the poor when they are in need, but do conservatives support welfare? No, they just say people on welfare are just lazy. This statement is the height of ignorance. To suggest that a single mother of 3 cannot adequately feed her children because she is lazy is inexcusably ignorant. Really? And why couldn't this same single mother of 3 use motherfucking birth control? What's cheaper? Birth control pills or feeding 3 kids? I'm not going to say she can't feed her kids because she's lazy. I'm going to say she can't feed her kids because she's fucking stupid. Furthermore, if you, Timmy boy, if you want to give this single mother of 3 charity so she can feed her kids, that's great. Nobody's telling you you can't. But some of us are tired of our money being given to these people to feed their kids. And this is what Timmy does not understand. because he's a communist, is the idea of private ownership. You see, my money is mine. How does the government get the right to take my money from me against my will and give it to a single mother of 3 kids who didn't have enough sense to go buy some fucking birth control pills? Or better yet, why not do the wonderful Democrat alternative, and why didn't she get an abortion? Which is cheaper, raising 3 kids or getting 3 abortions? Why the fuck do I'm not opposed to her having welfare to pay for her fucking kids. I'm opposed to me paying for the welfare to pay for her fucking kids. If there's so many of you out there, Timmy, who care about the poor so much and care about welfare, you could all donate money to the welfare system. I mean, if there's so many of you and you care so much, there should be plenty of money to go around, shouldn't there? I had that marked. I don't need to read that. What is this? Why I hate... This is funny. This is just pure fucking funny. I'm kind of torn as do I want to read this. I think I do, because, you know, there's not really anything for me here to necessarily analyze. It's just funny. It's great to be able to read something like this, because I got to tell you guys out there, the Collegian for a long time was like a leading communist newspaper. And this last, what do you call it, semester? What do you call that thing? Yeah, semester. This last semester, there's actually been some honest-to-God right-wing editorializing in the op-ed pages, which again isn't to say I necessarily agree with it, but it's just great to actually see something in there other than the typical liberal bullshit, which they still have plenty of that. But it's actually had some good right-wing rhetoric as well. It's Ryan Chapman kid. Ryan Chapman is a senior marketing major. he writes some hilarious shit. Alright, here we go. I'm going to read this. You guys just kick back and enjoy. As anyone who reads my column on any kind of a regular basis knows, I don't take very kindly to peace protesters. This guy pretty much speaks for me. I think that they are ignorant in the ways of the world and just plain don't accomplish anything. And I agree with that. This is why I don't like peace fucking nicks either. It's not that I'm in favor of war. It's because peace nicks don't fucking understand the world around them. The things they're saying, the things they don't, it doesn't work. You know, it's like somebody saying, well, I'm going to flap my arms and I'm going to fly. No, you're not. You're honest to fucking God not, okay? And these people, these peaceniks, the view they have of the world is distorted and fucked up. I'm not saying they're necessarily bad people. Some of them are. I'm saying if you're a peacenik, you're just ignorant in the actual honest-to-God dictionary definition of the word ignorant. You simply don't fucking understand how the world, how humans work and think and all this other shit. You may have the best intentions in the fucking world, but you don't understand things. You're not, and he's right, you don't accomplish anything. It's just like the first thing I read here, you know, the dozens of protesters on the corner. Oh, finally they're accomplishing. No, they're not. They're not accomplishing a goddamn thing. They think they've accomplished something because that particular day that this reporter talked to them, there were no pro-Bush protesters on the other side of the street. This goes on right very close to where I live, Mulberry and College. On one corner there's the peaceniks, and on the other corner there's the Bushniks. And on this particular day there were no Bushniks out there, only peaceniks. And so the peaceniks think, oh, we've accomplished something. So, I mean, that's to them, that is an accomplishment. Why, we have been protesting for years out here. We are peaceniks. We are changing the world. Well, what have you done to change the world? Well, today there's no Bushniks over there protesting. Okay, so there's no Bushniks over there protesting. Is the war over? Are there any hungry people who have food? Are there any homeless people who have houses? Are there any poor people that have more money? No. What the fuck have you done? Show me something you little fucking peaceniks have done. Show me any fucking thing, any filthy little smelly, dope-smoking, hippie, tree-hugging, animal rights wacko fucking peacenik has ever done to actually change the world and actually make it a better place to live in. You can't, because they haven't done a fucking thing. And this is why I fucking hate peaceniks. You have no goddamn contact with reality. You're living in a goddamn fantasy world where your only concern is feeling good about yourself. I went out on the corner today and I protested against George Bush and his war because he's doing it so his evil crony friends can make money. I feel good about myself. The war's still going on. Bush's friends are still making money. People in Iraq are still dying. There's a homeless guy right down the street. You didn't give a fuck about him. But boy, you sure feel good about yourself, don't you? I continue reading. I have been extremely patient with the growing gaggle of hippies outside President Bush's ranch in Crawford, Texas. I have too. He goes on a bit, and then he comes to this. First of all, President Bush has no... Because, of course, the point is that Cindy Sheehan thinks that the president should come and talk to her because her son died. Okay? First of all, I'm reading now. First of all, President Bush has no responsibility to meet with anyone, no matter how many people they bring with him or how many times they sing Kumbaya. I'd like to talk to the president about a few things, too, but I understand I am of little importance to the man running the free world, so I let it slide. Now, I'm not sure about running the free world, but, I agree with this point he's got. President Bush has no obligation to talk to this stupid bitch. You know what? I'd like to talk to Bush, too. I got a lot of things I'd tell the little motherfucker. But I don't sit here demanding that he drop by my place and have a conference. Who the fuck is this fucking whore that she thinks just because her son died in Iraq, President Bush needs to talk to her? Take your little fucking cunt ass back to the kitchen and get me a beer, bitch. The president doesn't fucking owe you shit. I continue reading. According to MSNBC.com, a group known as the Protest Warriors have also been in Crawford. The Protest Warrior group is dedicated to disrupting leftist peace rallies simply by joining them. They carry sarcastic signs that read things like, quote, "War has never solved anything except ending slavery, Nazism, communism, and fascism," unquote. Now, I could disagree with that, but we're not going to go there right now. This is where the stupidity starts to take over. Being unable to decipher this blazing sarcasm, some of the pro-Bush demonstrators took signs from the protest warriors, tearing them up and throwing them to the ground. They attacked people who were saying the exact same things they were. Way to go, guys. You give Bush supporters a good name. Thus showing us, this is not me reading, thus showing us that the Bush supporters are not very intelligent, which is something we knew anyway. I continue reading. Lastly, I would ask if any of these people have jobs or families or any responsibilities to attend to. I'm only 21 and there is no way I could go camp in Texas for weeks. Maybe that's just another reason why I hate protesters. They get a lot more vacation time than I do. And this is something I've said a gazillion times, and I'm going to say it again, obviously. I agree. What do these people do? I can't go off and fucking protest for weeks at a time, walking around with a sign. Where do these people get money from? Of course, for those of you who don't know this, there are actually professional protesters out there. There are people who make a living by protesting for money. You have to wonder, anytime you see one of these protests, how many of those people are out there because they're getting paid for it. But really, I mean, these people, they're out here. How can you do that? How do you get that vacation time from your job? You know, hey boss, I got to take 2 weeks off. I'm going down to Texas to protest George Bush. All right, see ya. And if you can be gone for 2 weeks to go protest George Bush, are you really necessary at your job? I continue reading. Anyway, there you have it, proof that all protesters can be idiots, not just the ones who want peace. The way I would suggest resolving this situation is to have the police of Crawford simply start tear gassing the crowd on both sides of the road until they return to wherever it is they came from. I agree. just gas the little fuckers. What do we got here? Is this what I think it is? Oh, coping with the loss of Sam Bam. It's Samantha Spady. Hi, I'm Samantha Spady. I'm 19. I'm blonde. I'm kind of chubby, but I'm cute enough to get my picture in the newspaper when I get drunk and kill myself. Because see, my parents, like, oh my god, like, they didn't teach me that if I drank 40 alcoholic drinks in one night, like, I would die from alcohol poisoning. And like I had 12 years of public education paid for by the taxpayers, and God, it never occurred to me that if I drank 40 drinks in one night, I would die from alcohol poisoning because I'm blonde, and I had public education for 12 years, and I was in college, and I was learning so much in college, and oh my God, I was the future of America. Until except I drank myself to death. Totally. Oh, I'm sorry, my cell phone's going off. Samantha Spady's mother is named Patty. I'm reading. I'm the first to admit I was a little naive, Patty Spady said. Quote, I regret it daily that we didn't talk about alcohol poisoning, unquote. She, being Patty Spady, has plans to produce a DVD teaching the dangers of alcohol consumption that would ultimately be viewed in classrooms across the country. She has already spoken in various places in Nebraska, 2 high schools in Colorado. In September, Spady will speak at the University of North Carolina. Her message in her speech is, quote, I do not condone underage drinking, but I want them to know that you can die from over-drinking. Binge drinking is so far removed from what Sam was doing, unquote. First of all, no, binge drinking is not far removed from drinking 40 drinks in one night. Second of all, and I have said this before, and I'm going to say it again, and I will probably say it 1,000 more times in my life until the day the American government shoots me in the fucking head and kills me for being a radical or a fucking freedom fighter or whatever they're going to call me. If Patty Spady is so fucking great at teaching people not to drink themselves to death, why is her daughter dead? Patty Spady is a complete fucking failure. And she needs to go home and shut the fuck up. What is this? Where are we on time, Randy? Whew, sweet. Elaborate hoax leaves Illinois student newspaper community reeling. What is this? There was, I'm trying to scan the part I have highlighted. The Egyptian issued a complete retraction, apology, and a news article August 26th explaining what happened. Quote, there is no pleasant way to put it, the newspaper said. Quote, we didn't check the facts carefully. We believed what we were told without verifying. Unquote. Here we go. The story was about this. For nearly 2 years, the motherless 8-year-old spoke and wrote movingly of her struggle to deal with her soldier father being shipped off to fight in Iraq. The motherless 8-year-old whose father's in Iraq. And the newspaper fell for this and thought this was a real story. Now seriously, you have a story being written by an 8-year-old child whose father is in Iraq and has no mother, and you would believe this, and the newspaper didn't bother to verify anything. Reminds me of the Linda Ellerby, where she is a journalist who invented a story about a homeless child living on the streets doing drugs, and everybody thought it was real, and she got all kinds of awards, and then it came out that it was in fact not true. Oh, and this is great. I should have prepped ahead of time. So here, the next we have in the op-ed page here, the Collegian opinion of the editors, blah, blah, blah. It says, quote, in Journalism 101, everyone is taught that our mission is to seek the truth and report it. The media are supposed to serve as a watchdog, not a source of sentimental storytelling. Some scrutiny of the media is necessary to keep journalists on their toes. But in order for the media to fulfill their watchdog role, the public needs to trust them. The few selfish journalists who fabricate stories overshadow all of the honest, hard-working reporters who follow a strict code of ethics. First of all, the idea that reporters have ethics is laughable. Second of all, the idea that reporters are capable, or journalists are capable of following a code would imply that they could read and understand the code. I find that hard to believe. But what's great about this, and I probably cannot find it as I rapidly flip through this pile, is that a short time after this, the CSU Collegian published, I got it! Yes, I am the motherfucking man! I am so fucking cool. When I was fucking your girlfriend, she screamed out my name. She said, my boy can't fuck you like you do. Skip doggy dog. From the Collegian op-ed page here, quote, it has come to the attention of myself and the Collegian editorial staff that an article published in Thursday's edition of The Verve contained numerous factual errors and was presented in a deceptive manner. The article, Rocky Mountain Musical Festival Treats Music Lovers, implied a first-person perspective when in fact no reporter attended the event. In addition, the names of performers, locations and events, and titles of works and events were attributed to a like-named festival which was held in 2003, not last week. Yes, don't you hate it when newspapers publish fictitious stories? Gosh, it really burns my ass. Good job, Collegian. Way to check those facts. Way to be the watchdogs. Way to have ethics. Way to be all fucking over it. Connecticut files lawsuit challenging No Child Left Behind. What is this crap? Here's the main point of this. Now I'm thinking, Randy. That's why I'm quiet. I know Randy's like, oh my god, he's quiet. Our message today is give us the unfunded mandate, I cannot read. Our message today is give up the unfunded mandates or give us the money, said Attorney General Richard Blumenthal. And I have to agree with this. You know, one of the problems with our federal government is it runs around making mandates. Thou shalt do this. Thou shalt pass these laws. Thou shalt blah, blah, blah. But the government never wants to come up with any money for this shit. Now, of course, the government doesn't have money, so if the government did come up with the money to pay for mandates like No Child Left Behind, that money would simply be taken out of my taxes, which, in case you haven't figured that out yet, is a bad thing from my perspective, since I'm not a communist and I don't hate rich people. Of course, the obvious solution is what, Randy? Exactly. No more federal government mandates. Boom. It's so complicated. Now we're going to let it ride out. We'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to try to finish up this stack. Well, I am going to finish up this stack today. It's not optional.